Okay, now I figured out how to use this thing. This freaking batteries are going weird. Anyway, so I was saying the interior is kind of horrible. It's like a black, dark gray type thing. There's puddles on the floor, so I'm probably gonna have to rip out the carpet. Probably thinking about just rhino coating the entire thing and just using it like that. But the seat is really not that great, and the view on this camera is awesome. And the light. Anyway, the front seat's really not that great because someone before me broke it, so it's just sitting there pretty much, which is pretty cool. When you go around the corners, it gets kind of wobbly. But yeah, electric everything, has the power transmission, so I'm not exactly sure what that's for, but I'm thinking it's for if you're towing something, have a little more power, or if you're like up in the trails or something like that, more power to the wheels. Anyway, four-wheel drive, has part-time, low-time, or four-wheel drive stuff. Electric seats, so it moves up and down by itself. Electric windows, which is pretty nice. Leather everything. Sunroof, which is pretty cool. The can't really see in this freaking camera because it's, I don't know, horrible camera, I guess. But the headliner is kind of missing. Get a light. And you can't even see that. Anyways, I'm flashing a light back there. You can't even see it. This camera is horrible. It's like an amazing type, but it's just horrible in the dark, I guess. But anyways, there's a part of a headliner there. It's missing, though, in the back, which is kind of awesome. One of my friends sit back there. They're always getting tapped in the head. They're like, what the heck is going on? But anyway, yeah, so the back's kind of a mess. I have all my gear and stuff back there. Some tools. I've been working on it, but it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I spray painted this front fender just flat black. I think that's what I'm gonna leave it as because it's cheap and affordable. And if I, when I go up in the trails, I don't have to go out and spend, really, thousands of dollars on a paint job and then go down a trail and, get crunched or scratched or something like that. And okay, there goes that paint job. I could just go down to the auto parts store on the way home from a trip and grab some flat black and spray paint the whole thing. I got the door too, the driver's door, so it looks a little nicer. I don't have to, I'm looking at a nicer vehicle when I get in and out of the Jeep anyway. The next door behind it is mostly painted, except for the bottom kind of half. Yeah, and then the back fender around the window is painted, but then behind like the gas cap or whatever, it's still kind of shiny. I still have the sand, all this down here in the bottom. So yeah, and that's that tire. The bumpers are all going to be replaced. Ideas for that, because I'm thinking just like some C-channel, and I'm going to take it to either my neighbor, or if I get a liner for my welder, I can start practicing welding, and or take it to my grandfather. He's pro at welding. But anyways, I'm thinking about taking some C-channel and maybe some flat metal and some like tube or something like that, and then building up a bumper in the back and putting a hitch in the middle of it, so which would be kind of nice because I want a hitch so I can tow stuff, because I have a little trailer for my quad and whatnot. But anyway, I'm thinking about doing that, and then I'm thinking about putting on a tire carrier, just kind of a swing out version or something like that, because I'm thinking about putting a roof rack on it, but then people are like, well, I don't know if you want to do that because it's not all that great. It gets hung up and stuff, and and then you put stuff up there, it's limited because you can only put so much up there until you reinforce your Jeep on the inside. And then I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe I'll just put my tire up there, which would be kind of nice because then I can have a spare. And they're like, well, no, I don't want to do that because it's going to be a pain in the butt if you're out there on the trail and you need to get it down, and you're going to be at an awkward angle trying to get it off of there. It's going to be heavy and it'll be wet and whatever, yeah, this issues. So I'm thinking about putting a tire rack back here, which would be awesome. The back, it's kind of dirty in there, but the window's kind of dirty. Yeah, it needs to be tuned up, whatever. The windshield wiper is below the window because it only goes one direction. That's clockwise. I don't know what's up with that, but I'm thinking it's probably just the motor or this relay switch or something like that. So I'm gonna have to get that checked out. It's another job for my neighbor, so he works on stuff like that. And then the little like defog stuff in the back needs to be touched up. It was ripped off there. There's some little body damage here and there, some little doinks there, some scratches, but I'm not too worried about that. And just, maybe there's, the door dented in or something like that. I might think about doing something about it, but I'm not too worried about it. It has a roof, kind of a roof rack carrier thing. I'm thinking about putting some lights, like rear lights, and then those guys that were like, well, no, I don't think you want to, put a carrier up there, and I was like, well, I might put it up there so I can have some lights. But what's nice about this one is the front carrier part can slide all the way up to the tippy front, which is pretty awesome, but it's not really convenient for my sunroof, but it doesn't matter because I probably won't be using that very often. So I'll probably just slide that all the way front forward and put a bar up there or something, and I can just put some lights up there that way. So yeah. Great story to tell you. So when I first got it home, and the guy was saying, yeah, the brakes are squeaky really bad. Figured it out. Those front brakes, the pads are down to bare metal. I ended up replacing the rotors. They were doing the wave thing. But I had to do this side, and one of the studs had to be stubborn. It's one right there in the very, very top. Can't really see it because it's dark and this camera's lame. But I had to chisel it out of there and drill it out, so I ended up getting it out all the way, replacing the stud. But I had this gaping hole in the freaking tire, so I'm kind of careful where I'm going. But I have 4 other ones, so I'm doing pretty good. But the plan is I'm probably just going to ditch this rim somewhere and get a new one, which is pretty cool, because, I'm thinking about doing it anyway. But anyway, yeah, got that off of there, got it all replaced, and I, tore the whole thing apart. And, yeah, it was a pain in the butt and a waste a lot of money and time. So anyway, that's a cool story. Fender flares, I do have them for the front. They're in the back. I just gotta touch them up and paint them. And the freaking guy didn't give me the bolts for them, so I gotta go to the junkyard or somewhere and get some bolts for it. But yeah, the engine, I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of recap. Battery is not stock. It is out of something else, and it's way too tall for this thing. I'm gonna have to replace that. The battery cables I'm gonna replace. I'm doing a tire tune-up. Battery cables, spark plugs, cap, rotor, wires. I'm gonna probably end up changing. I did the oil change, which is pretty nice. The lifters are quieted down a little bit. I did an air filter, and that thing was disgusting. That thing was black. I'm pretty sure that everything on here is pretty much original. And the other thing, which is it's not really funny, but it's kind of cool. But the wires, the original, they're horrible. They've kind of or weather burnt or something like that, and they're actually jumping. The spark is jumping from the spark plug wire to the block. So sometimes I'll get a little bit of a hesitation in there, spit and sputtering type thing, which is not cool, but I know what the problem is, so that's what the wires are. So I kind of found a couple laying around the house around here and got them to work. So that'll be temporary for now. I might be changing. I'm still undecided, but I might take out this AC unit pump and convert it into air pump, basically, for whatever I need out on the trail, or just taking out and putting a dual alternator setup, because my neighbor works on alternators, so I could have plenty of power and run a possible dual battery, which would be pretty cool, because then I could have plenty of power for whatever I need. Because I'm planning also in the front, I'm rebuilding the bumper, more of a extension, so I can put a and also just for looks and better quality, if I don't run into anything. But I'm gonna do kind of what I did in the back, maybe some C-channel or something like that, and some flat metal. But I'm basically just extending enough also so I can have a winch on the front too, and some extra auxiliary lights, or mainly just fog lights, so driving lights. Which would be awesome too. So, but yeah, and then also I'm planning on